If you bought a major machine in the last 5 years, there's a good chance you already bought something bad. I'm going to tell you what repairmen actually buy for their own homes. And before we're done, I'll give you the simple test they use to spot junk before it shows up in your garage. Here's the truth. Most products aren't built to last. They're built to look premium and survive the warranty. Then the first real failure hits, and repair becomes replace the whole unit. Repairmen don't buy promises, they buy what can be fixed. They've seen the same scam 100 times. A cheap part fails, but the only repair is an expensive module. So we're going room by room, what lasts, what to skip, and why the simple stuff wins. Because buy it for life always comes down to the same 3 things: parts, serviceability, and support. Start where most people lose money first: laundry. Big box stores sell washers that look like spaceships, glass doors, touchscreens, Wi-Fi, a dozen cycles you'll never use. They're designed to impress on day 1, not work in year 9. Repairmen buy machines that are mechanically simple and common enough that parts are everywhere. Not clever, not trendy, common. That's why commercial DNA machines keep showing up in their homes. Speed Queen is the famous example. The whole reputation is built on the same principle: stable design, repairable layout, and a machine that isn't trying to be your phone. And if you want the repairman logic without chasing boutique availability, you'll see a lot of people in the trade stick to mainstream brands where parts are easy, like Whirlpool and Maytag, specifically the boring models that haven't been reinvented for TikTok. Here's the red flag. If your washer needs multiple sensors, locks, and boards just to fill and spin, you're not buying a washer, you're buying a computer that washes clothes. The question is always the same. When something fails, can you replace one part? Or do you have to replace a whole chunk because it's sealed, glued, or molded together? People argue, but the new ones are efficient. Sure, efficiency often comes with complexity, and complexity is expensive when it breaks. So the buy move is not most features, it's fewest failure points. Next room, the refrigerator. A fridge should be the simplest machine in your house. It's a cold box. We turned it into an iPad with an ice maker. Repairmen follow one rule: the more stuff in the door, the more stuff that fails. Water lines, ice makers, sensors, boards, often buried behind trim that snaps and turns a small problem into a big one. So they buy the simplest configuration they can live with. Fewer gimmicks, fewer assemblies, fewer smart features. A design that's been around long enough to prove itself. Second rule matters just as much: parts and service in your area. The best fridge on paper is useless if nobody local can fix it fast. Don't shop by star ratings. Shop by how common it is. Common means parts. Common means techs have seen it. Common means the fix is known. And if you're doing a true forever build and you're willing to pay once instead of twice, Sub-Zero is the name that keeps coming up because their entire philosophy is long life ownership, not churn. Now dishwashers, where marketing gets sneaky. Dishwashers sell silence and sleek panels. Repairmen care about the guts. Wash motor durability, pump design, and whether racks, seals, and wear parts are cheap and easy to replace. The good units stay on stable platforms for years. So parts exist. The bad ones redesign constantly. So your model is discontinued the moment you buy it. That's why Bosch keeps coming up in real kitchens, not because it's the most exciting, but because it's been living on proven platforms for years. And if you want the buy at once energy, Miele is the brand people mention when they're serious about keeping something for a long time. Red flags are simple: no easy parts diagram, replacement parts are scarce or overpriced, or the control board costs like a luxury item. That's a disposable machine wearing a premium badge. Now water heaters, the most ignored big machine in the house. A water heater isn't supposed to be exciting. It's supposed to quietly work for years, then fail in a predictable way and be easy to service. But most homeowners buy whatever's on sale, then act surprised when it turns into a leaking metal can with a replace the whole unit diagnosis. Plumbers and repair guys think differently. They buy what has 3 things: standard parts, standard fittings, and a design that hasn't been reinvented every 12 months. That's why you'll see Bradford White in a lot of pro homes. Not because it's trendy, but because it's a plumber brand with parts and service knowledge everywhere. You'll also see Rheem and AO Smiths show up constantly, not because they're perfect, but because they're common platforms, and common platforms are what get fixed fast. Here are the red flags. If the unit is built like it's disposable, if the key components are hard to source, or if it's loaded with smart electronics that add failure points to a job that should be dumb and mechanical, skip it. Because a water heater isn't a lifestyle product. It's infrastructure. And infrastructure should be boring. Next, vacuum cleaners. The quiet money leak nobody talks about. Most vacuums today are built like disposable toys. They look futuristic, they sound powerful, and then a plastic latch snaps, a hose cracks, a motor overheats, and the whole thing becomes landfill because parts are either overpriced or impossible to find. Repair-minded people buy vacuums like they buy appliances, not by features, by serviceability. That's why you see Sibio and Miele in buy-it-once homes. Not because they're glamorous, but because they're built to be maintained. Bags, filters, brush rolls, hoses, power heads, all replaceable without a meltdown. And if you want the most boring, indestructible energy possible, pneumatic Henry, vacuums are famous for being simple, tough, and easy to keep alive. No fancy screens. No weird proprietary nonsense. Just a machine that does the job. Red flag test is simple. If a vacuum is mostly clipped together plastic, if it's designed to be thrown away instead of serviced, or if basic wear parts aren't easy to buy, you're not buying a vacuum. You're buying a subscription disguised as suction. Back to the kitchen. Cookware. Non-stick sells convenience until the coating scratches. Then you buy the same pan again and again. Repairmen love what can't break. Cast iron and stainless. No coatings. No delicate surfaces. No gimmicks. Lodge cast iron is the classic, it'll outlive you buy for a reason. Cast iron is the opposite of planned obsolescence. It's a chunk of iron. The more you use it, the better it gets. If you want one kitchen item your grandkids could use, it's not the Wi-Fi oven, it's the pan. Now tools, because this is where branding lies the loudest. Repairmen buy brands that make the tool, not brands that just market the tool. They want forged steel tight tolerances and warranties backed by the actual manufacturer. Channel lock is a common example for pliers because they're a no-nonsense staple built for actual hands, not product photos. Nippex shows up when people want premium cutters and pliers that don't feel like they were made out of recycled soda cans. For sockets and wrenches, the serious people chase steel quality and fit, not hype and chrome. But here's the real point. You can't memorize your way out of a market that changes every year. That's why this isn't just a brand list. It's a rule and a test. Brands change. Principles don't. Principle 1, the more electronics required to do a basic mechanical job, the more ways it can fail. Principle 2, sealed assemblies are a dead end. If a bearing fails and the fixes replace the whole unit, it's disposable by design. Principle 3, parts support is everything. Durability means nothing if you can't service it. Principle 4, common platforms beat rare unicorns. Common means parts, knowledge, and faster repairs. Now the promised payoff, the one test that makes marketing irrelevant. Before you buy anything major, search the exact model number and type parts diagram. If you can't find an exploded diagram in a real parts list, that's a warning. Serviceable products leave a paper trail. Then search the model number plus control board price. If it's not electronics, search common failure part, pump, motor, gearbox, igniter, solenoid. If the brain costs 40–60% of the product, you're not buying something meant to be repaired. You're buying something meant to be replaced. If parts are common, documented, and reasonably priced, that's the green light. That's what repairmen do. They don't shop by promises. They shop by serviceability. So here's the verdict. This isn't about brands. It's about opting out. Buy the boring model. Buy the one with parts. Buy the one you can fix. Because the most expensive product is the one you have to buy twice. And when you shop with this rule and this test, you stop being a consumer. You become an owner. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to never make a bad purchase again.